May might just be the best month that we've seen for sneaker releases so far. We got a brand new Travis Scott Jordan 1, one of the most highly anticipated Kobe's, another Balvin Jordan 3 collaboration, a poor man's Travis Scott, and the return of 3 absolutely iconic Jordan colorways. I promised you guys that April would have 2 shock drops, and we saw both of them, and luckily May has some surprises in store for us too, so buckle up. For free notifications on these and release guides for all sneakers, you could join the free Discord by scanning the QR code or clicking the link in the description. You could also get free Chick-fil-A there too. For all the best sneaker releases in May, we're going to be mentioning the release date, the retail, and whether each of these sneakers is going to be profitable or not, or if they might even sit on shelves, resulting in a sale price so you could save some money on them. Feel free to subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you're 100% updated on all these sneakers and how you could get them for retail. Kicking off May with an absolute bang, we are finally getting to see the Kobe 8 Protro Mambacita release on none other than Gigi's birthday, which makes perfect sense because this shoe does commemorate her with her name on the back along with her number 2. You also have that beautiful Mambacita keychain attached to the sneaker and those beautiful butterflies across the upper of the sneaker, making this one of the cleanest yet unique Kobe's that we've seen in a very long time. I'm definitely super excited to try to get a personal of these. I know a lot of you guys feel the same, but if you do intend on reselling these, you could definitely expect these to be very profitable with an incredible margin. Definitely one of the better performing Kobe's that we've seen so far. Next up, in some less exciting news, but a collaboration nonetheless, we have the Pata Nike Air Huarache Plus collection releasing. We got 3 colorways of these. We have the black pair, yellow pair, and the pink pair, all dropping on April 26th on the Pata website, but on May 2nd for Nike sneakers. Unfortunately, I'm expecting these to just be personals, and that's with a low retail of $160, so just personals for these, but if you do want a personal, I wouldn't sleep on them because I do expect them to sell out. Also on the 2nd for $120 each, it looks like we might be getting some restocks of the Dunk Low Next Nature Platinum Violet and Football Gray, but unfortunately I'd expect these to just be personals because they're already below retail in most sizes when it comes to these. Then on May 3rd for $135, we're getting the Dunk Low Ultraman. Like many recent Dunk Low colorways, I would expect these to just be personals, especially with a high retail of $135. Not the most exciting Dunk Low colorway. Much more exciting, on May 4th, we're getting the return of one of the most iconic Jordan 4 colorways of all time. In fact, this pair hasn't released since 2012, and so a lot of people are super excited to finally get another chance to get these. In fact, these already had a shock drop, which some people were able to get their hands on. Again, if you want early information for all shock drops, consider joining Endurance with the link in the description because we do have some more coming soon. But when it comes to these, we do have the full release coming on May 4th, and the stock is supposed to be absolutely huge. Currently, it looks like there's 1.2 million pairs total loaded on Nike, and only 100,000 or so already dropped via the shock drop, and that's why prices still seem to be holding up quite well, around $260 to $270, despite the information already kind of being out there that there's a lot of stock on these, so a lot of people of course are panic selling, but there's only 100k or so in circulation. I'm going to make a full in-depth seller hold video the day before the drop, so make sure to subscribe and enable post notifications for a more in-depth detailed analysis. But as of now, I would say because of the stock being so huge, these are probably going to end up being lunch money to brick profit at best, with a poor margin despite demand being absolutely astronomical, which is crazy to say because of all Jordan 4 colorways we've seen recently, this is definitely one that people have looked forward to the most. But again, it comes down to both supply and demand, and supply on these is supposed to be absolutely insane. We'll see as we get closer to the drop though how these end up holding up. Obviously I'll make that full video, so just subscribe to stay updated for that. Next up, we might have another potential sleeper cook, and it's on a Cortez, particularly the Forest Gump Cortez. Now, normally we never see any Cortez reselling. Even the Stranger Things Cortez ended up bricking, but with a retail of $110 on these, and considering the fact that the original pair is very famous from the movie, these might actually have sufficient demand to sell well on eBay, if not StockX, just for regular normies who like the movie, who aren't really into sneaker culture. So you might be able to make a little bit of brick profit or lunch money off of these, but we'll see as we get to know what the stock numbers are closer closer to the drop, so of course I'll keep you guys updated on that. As of now though, don't keep expectations too high. I just think it's a potential sleeper cook. And if you don't know, the original pair from the movie actually auctioned for $57,000. I made a TikTok on it. You can feel free to follow the Endurance TikTok. I'll leave a link for that in the description for a lot of short updates just like this. I think you guys will like them. Also on May 8th, we got the LeBron 4 Eggplant dropping for a whopping $250. Since the LeBron 4 Fruity Pebbles, an iconic pair, actually is selling for about $160 to $170 now, I'd expect about the same for these. So if you do want a personal, definitely wait on that sale, or at least wait for them to go below retail in the secondary market. Then on May 11th, we're getting another iconic Jordan colorway returning, but this time it's going to be on a Jordan 1 Low, and this is the Jordan 1 Low Shadow. Obviously, it's very exciting to see this colorway finally returning since we saw the highs many years ago, but since it is a low, I'd still expect these to just be personals. In fact, you're probably going to be able to get them for below retail in the secondary market, if not on sale, and retail is only $140. So if you're looking for a cheap pair of Jordan 1s that's going to match every single outfit, if you don't mind them being lows, this is definitely a solid pair. Then we got another Reebok Jound collaboration on May 9th for the Jound website, but May 15th for Reebok, and the Reebok website is the more important date because they should have free shipping there, whereas the Jound website shipping will not be free, and it's because retail is $150 on these, and one of the last Jounds that released didn't do too well, but if you do get free shipping and you have no tax, you might be able to make a little bit of brick profit off some of the larger sizes, but other than that, I'd expect these to mostly just end up being personals, which is pretty sad considering some of the older pairs of these actually used to do pretty well. Then on May 18th for $190, we're getting the return of another iconic Jordan colorway. This time it's going to be the Jordan 11 Low Space Jam. Unfortunately, it is not the mid version. Those dropped back in 2016, but at the very least, we're still getting this colorway, and being spring to summertime, I definitely don't mind these being a low. I'm super excited for them nonetheless. Definitely want a personal pair, but with that said, they're probably going to end up being just that, personals, unfortunately, with the elevated retail at now $190 for Jordan 11 Lows. And not only that, but Jordan 11 Lows in general don't tend to resell too well. The pre-sale on them is already kind of low, so I don't have high expectations for these, but if you do have local buyers and you don't have tax in your state, you could avoid the platform fees. You'll probably end up making a couple dollars profit if you sell them locally. Then on May 17th for $150, we are finally going to be getting the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low OG Canary. You could also refer to these as the Elkins High Knights because they're themed after Travis Scott's high school, which I think is absolutely awesome for the Travis Scott line. Normally, we just see these coming in brown and green and black, the typical colorways for Travis Scott, so it's definitely really cool finally getting some unique colorways on these, especially if you like sneakers that are going to get a lot of attention. These are definitely for you, and while they might be a little bit harder to pull off, if you can manage to do so, you're definitely going to catch a lot more attention. Obviously, when it comes to these, like all Travis Scott Jordan 1 Lows, these are going to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin. Obviously, you're going to want to go full throttle on these. Next up, we have one of the most insane releases that we've seen in a very long time. Might be the best release, at least for myself, in May, and while a lot of new collectors might not really appreciate this, if you've been collecting for as long as I have, back in the Nike basketball days like 2012 and 2013, you know how insane this shoe is. This is the KD4 Weatherman. Now, the original pair of these would actually be reselling for $1,000 to $2,000, so this shoe was definitely a very big deal. They were super hyped up, super limited, very difficult to get, and while they're not exactly easy to pull off from a collecting perspective, this sneaker is a really big deal, especially for the KD line. But anyway, they're dropping for just $130, and considering the KD4 Galaxy held up really well between $200 and $300, allowing for a lot of easy profit there, I definitely would expect these two as well. So with that said, I would expect these to be profitable with at least a good margin, and potentially much better than that on the larger sizes, because those of which will perform the best. Then on May 22nd, we got the J Balvin Jordan 3 Rio dropping. If you guys don't recall, we already saw J Balvin Jordan 3 drop, and that was the white Medean Sunset pair, and that pair actually performed really well. Currently, they're sitting around $400 to $500. So despite the retail being high on these at $250, I do think that these are still going to be profitable with a decent to good margin, especially on the large size 10 and above. And that's even if you do have tax, you should still be able to make some money off of these. And while I don't expect them to do as good as the white Medean Sunset pair, I do still think they'll be good enough to be profitable, just slightly worse than the white pair. And of course, this is a really nice colorway in general. The black on these makes them them quite wearable, but the orange gradient on the back and the sole actually makes these really unique and pretty eye-catching at the same time. Then on May 25th, for $200, we got the Jordan 12 Red Taxi dropping. If you want personal Jordan 12s, these are definitely for you. You can't go wrong with that Chicago-like colorway being black, white, and red, but unfortunately when it comes to resale, I definitely would not expect these to do well. They're just going to be personals, and in fact, you might even be able to get these below retail if you're patient in the secondary market. Then on May 29th, for $180, we got the Jordan 1 High Women's Latte. Unfortunately, although I had high expectations initially quite a few months back for these, as of now, I'm going to have to retract that and say that these are just going to be personals. As of now, pre-sale is already pretty much close to retail on these, so I definitely don't expect these to perform well. I had pretty decent expectations on these because they look similar to that Jordan 1 Mocha vibe, which is similar to the Travis Scott's. Figured a lot of people would probably want a sneaker that looks like a Travis Scott, even though it isn't, but not the case. Seems like demand still is not sufficient, at least given the amount of stock that is produced for these. So just personals, but if you do want a cheap pair of Jordans that does look similar to Travis Scott colorways, these are definitely for you. Then on May 30th, for $300, we're getting the Jordan 17 Low Lightning. Unfortunately, with the retail being that high, I really cannot see these reselling for a profit at all, so I'd have to say just personals, and you'll probably end up getting them for below retail if you're patient in the secondary market. Something worth noting though, it does apparently come with a steel briefcase, which I thought is pretty cool and pretty well deserved considering how much you're paying for these. And finally, on May 31st, ending the month off with a bang, we got another Kobe coming back, and this is the KD4 Girl Dad. These are just $190, and I'd expect them to do somewhere similar to what we saw on the Philly KD4, which was around $260 to $270. So with that said, you should be able to make some decent profit off of these. Nothing too crazy, but definitely a drop to look forward to, especially if you want a personal. I think these are really cool because they come with a unique type of material on top. Appears to be nubuck rather than the typical leather. I think the colorway goes perfectly with the icy outsole, so I'm definitely excited to get my hands on these. Let me know what your thoughts are on these and every shoe that's releasing this month. I think this is the most insane month that we've seen so far in 2024, so let me know which pair you're looking forward to the most. And remember, for free notifications and release guides and even free Chick-fil-A, just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description below, and feel free to check out Endurance while you're there too, or just join the free group. I'd love to help you out, if even just for completely free. Other than that though, good luck on all these upcoming releases and have a great rest of your day.